Ashamani Munyame. I acquire me to me cansem bebre. Niame to me a canisa. Eradi Ashamani Munyame. Me was be a mecca. Niame to me a canisa. Jesus. Ashamani Munyame. Me was be a mecca. Niame to me a canisa. Yes. Ashamani Munyame. Superyo, oh, baby, na makomo. That's what's up to me. I'm show me who cry. Who was that? Ebiana, my better payo. Missy, a higher power. Me to me, cansem, baby. Mama, the Anashi, I'm you. Never near radio. I power. Me to me, cansem, baby. Mama Diana Shimio, never near radio, near Mecca. It was be a Mecca, near Metumia Casa, it was a Shaman Union, it was be a Mecca, near Metumia Casa, Mama Shaman Union. Yo, near 2 minutes, I to be pain. Nasu went to be onion and in Nasu, me gratias in a day, yo. Hey, Mansonia Mimuyan, curious in Maria, Mansoni one curious in Mario, Nansuni in them, yes, Washamani Munya, Bebela to Mansonia Mimuya, curious in Maria, Mansoni one conny Mario. Yes, Washamani Munya. I acquire me to me cansem bebre. Niame to me a canisa. Eradi Ashamani Munya. I acquire because I me can't dear but you. Mama Diana Shiamio. Erani yo. Yes, Washamani Union.
sweet, adorable voice of mine coming your way from Upper Room AOG Radio and TV. This morning, we are super proud once more again to have again our father, the chairman of the Ghanaian Assemblies of God, Reverend Andrew ANANE ASANE, with us this morning once more again to give us experiences in marriage, testimonies about his marriage, the experiences he's gone through in his marriage as a minister of God and as a humble servant of God. He says that he is a servant of servants. So we want to know how he was able to get through and how he was able to get Mama Evelyn ANANE ASANE. Today, we want to get all the pros and cons. If you are out there and also a minister, any other person, a youth, or and someone who is of age that wants to have a better half, we are going to get all the G's from our father today. Good morning to you, our father, the first gentleman of Upper Room AOG Radio TV, and then also Assemblies of God Upper Room situated in the Bronx 1074 Franklin Avenue. Pastor Mark Asante Menu and the wife, Mama Asante Menu Comfort. I say good morning to you all. Also to the associate pastors, I say good morning to each one of you for your great support and your prayers towards the ministry. And also to the church board. Oh, we say we are so proud of you, super proud of you. And once again, I'll continue to say Happy Mother's Day to every other woman, and especially today because Daddy is on, we will say Happy Mother's Day to Mama Evelyn ANANE ASANE. We love you so much for the good work you are doing on Daddy, keeping him healthy all the time and making sure he's ever super strong. I don't know the concussion you are giving to Daddy. I'll come for the G's so that I also keep it in my archives. So to my manager, Apostle Goldwater, I said good morning to you also. Today, I wouldn't want to waste too much time because I'm telling you, it's all about marital experience. So we want to know all the pros and cons. So I'll say good morning to you, Daddy, Reverend ANANE ASANE.
Thank you so much. It's once again a privilege for me to be on with you, Pastor Linda. Thank you so much for inviting me and having me.
Thank you so much, Daddy, for honoring our invitation as well. Viewers, as I always say, life in this world is really a great struggle, both for the young and old, and even all those who think they have the great riches, they also have their troubles of their own. That is why we have gathered here to know everybody's encounter, the Jericho encounters, how we were able to go about it, whether Daddy was the encounters of Daddy's marriage, whether he had to run, whether he had to crawl, whether he had to jump to receive it, anyhow, he was able to get Mama Evelyn, because a very beautiful, smart woman. If you see Mommy, if you don't know Mommy and you see Mommy, you think she's about 14 years today. And just looking at Daddy, Daddy also looks about 16. So what do you expect? So Daddy, we want to find out. When you entered into, last week we were talking about your ministry, how you entered into ministry. And I want to find out that as handsome, even as this age of you, and I'm expecting, trying to picture up in your young age, how you were looking so sharp and so handsome. How were you able to do ministry as a single man before, even right after the Bible college? How were you able to do ministry? Were there no obstacles from ladies who wanted, such a handsome, beautiful man to marry them? Were no difficulties?
Thank you so much. That is a very interesting question. And I want to be as much as practical that I can. And I'm going to be very honest also and be sure that I say what was practical and what was truthful. And my wife will be walking in momentarily. And I know she will also listen to the conversation that we're having, and possibly she can also contribute to the discussion, maybe say a word or two. I must begin by saying that I thank God for the smooth beginning or smooth start that I had. In the Bible college, I went through the intense discipline of staying true to the Lord and not mess up with women. And it's all due to the fact that I was very focused, and I also learned from the examples of my forebears, and the teachers that taught me also inculcated the values of proper godliness and discipline. Going through the pastoral ethics or pastoral theology class, I learned the ethics of ministry, how to relate with the opposite sex, and also going through the pastoral theology or pastoral epistles, that class based upon Paul's writings to the young man Timothy. So I was well equipped by going through all these. And most importantly, I prayed to the Lord. And while I was in the Bible college, honestly, I was also attracted to the females and colleague Christians in the church. And little did I know that some of them were interested. Honestly, it was later on that I found out. And honestly, I was scared of women, not in the sense that they were evils, but I was scared of women because I had grown up in an environment where I saw how women were so troublesome to their husbands and how marriages were not successful. And so growing up and knowing how that could be a problem to me, I decided to be very careful. Now, you're talking about me as a handsome. I don't know whether I was handsome, but honestly, I would say that there were equally good people out there that women could be attracted to. But for some reason, I was attracted to, yes, young women. But then I also used my discretion to relate with them very, very, very well with Christian love, without actually giving a negative impression that they were evil to me, even though in my heart I knew that the least mistake that I would make could lead to my to a temptation and also a downfall. And so the Lord kept me through. I received gifts, yes, of course, and I didn't know the motives behind those gifts. I also, yes, I got people that got close to me because of the nature of my ministry to pray for them. But then I was also very careful the way I did prayer. And some of the times, because of the subtle manner in which prayer time could turn into something else, whenever I visited, even when I was assigned as a student pastor in the local church, whenever I visited the opposite side, I made sure that I had a male companion with me as a student pastor. And so I will not visit a woman in the house alone. I will have a witness, so that in case any false accusation is leveled against me, I will have a defense. And so this is how I managed. So I got through my Bible school education and graduated, and then assumed the full position as a senior pastor or the lead pastor of the local church. And that continued. If you want to maybe ask a follow-up question, I will tell you how I met my wife, and also the circumstances leading to how I met my wife, whom I've been married for the past almost 35 years. June will be our 35 years of marriage, June 3rd. And I thank God for her life. I will share a little bit or maybe more about the values, the wonderful things that I discovered in my wife, which actually led me to her. And I've never regretted marrying her.
Wow. There is one point that Daddy made mention, and I want all the youth, especially those who are looking up, and those also men and women who are also in ministry, single men and women. Let me say that you should take note of that Daddy just said, is that anytime he goes in or he goes on visitation, he makes sure he goes with somebody so that no false accusation comes his way. Many a times, if you go somewhere to the opposite sex and then you go with a friend and you get to know that the friend tells you, oh, let me go buy something up here, get to know that, hey, this is a G's from Daddy. They have already connived. Maybe when you called, he's not a good friend. He wants you in trouble. If he's going, go with him. Whatever he or she is going to buy, go and buy and then come back with them to sit down to the opposite sex that has invited you. It will save you a lot of trouble and temptation. The Bible says we should flee. So learn how to flee. You don't go there and then be in the lions den whilst you yourself give yourself up and start blowing tongues. It won't gonna work. So let's learn from Daddy. Okay, so Daddy, we want to know, as I said, the pros and the cons. I know we Christians, we know that God is the one that ordained marriage. So we always rely on God when it comes for us choosing our life partner. And sometimes God will give us a sign. Sometimes, through other people, introduction, and you yourself, you're going to see you've got a standard, as you said, the values that you set for yourself, how you want it. How are you able to meet money? That money, where, no? How did it happen?
Okay. Yes, so I had so many friends, and of course, godly men and women that were very concerned and passionate about my ministry. And so I had recommendations from friends, recommendations, oh, this is a beautiful lady, this, and so on. But I will also pray. The recommendation will come, that this is a very good woman, but I will also pray about it. I also had people in the local church, my own church. I had people in the neighboring churches around, sister churches. And I would say that I had many good women, very good, beautiful, good women. But then the question is, who is really the person that God has chosen for you? That is one thing that we find ourselves in a quandary or dilemma when it comes to making a choice. And so as I said earlier on, I was scared of not going into a relationship that will, in a final analysis, jeopardize my ministry. I wanted to be peaceful. I wanted to also be sure. I wanted to be loving and caring. And I needed a reciprocal kind of these virtues also from a woman that I needed to marry. I wasn't perfect. And so I would say that I needed a perfect woman, but I needed a woman who would come my way to help me get better. So I prayed it took me about 4 years in delay in finding a woman. And that's along the line, I had the opportunity to go and further my education. And it was a decision made by the General Council of Assemblies of God when they realized the potential of teaching in me. And they were sporting young people like me that they could train and groom to teach in our Bible college. And I was spotted and selected by my pastor. And how it happened is something that I don't want to go into details. So I'm talking about my spiritual father who actually prepared me for ministry. And so when I had this chance, when I reported, I went to school in Togo. I reported in the first semester. It was in January, and I was the only student from the English department, from the English Anglophone countries in the English department. And so I was asked to make an option if you want to go back and then come and then begin the fresh academic year. That will be in August. No, that will be in September, sorry. Then you'll be fine. There will be many other English students. So when I went to school that year and then went back, I said to myself, am I going to stay as a single person or a bachelor and go to school and spend 3 more years before getting married? No. I decided to go to the Bible college. That was in January when school was on break. And it obviously, when school is on break at Sorpon, the Bible school is very, very quiet. And I had no idea of any program that was coming on. So I just arranged a trip to stay for one week and pray and fast and seek the face of God. So I went, and it was very quiet. And one of the professors that I knew, the late Reverend Ezekiel Pando's wife, was the one who gave me a key to one of the rooms in the dormitory. So I started praying. After 3 days or so, I heard that there was going to be a program, the lay workers training program. And just after 3 days of fasting and praying, my time of waiting coincided with the program that was beginning. And so a car, a 4-wheel drive at an example pulled into the campus. And among them was a young lady. And I remembered very faintly that I had been meeting her at the General Council office whenever I visited the General Council. And she was actually very, very good. And I received warm reception from her, but I didn't have any idea of whether she was someone's wife or.
Right.
So, and among them was my classmate, who was actually the director for the Southern or the Mid-Ghana section of the training program. And so these 3 individuals plus their driver pulled into the campus. And so I was in my room when I heard it, "Hey, ANANE, ANANE, ANANE." And then I opened the door and it was my friend. And then I said, "What are you doing?" "So we are coming to start a program. Are you not aware that there's lay workers program going on starting?" I said, "Oh, I didn't know." And then when I walked out with him, I saw a lady with them. And so that was it. That was the beginning. And I didn't know, had no clue. But I remembered I had prayed and said, "Lord, I'm going to the Bible college to school, fast and pray. Let me see my wife, the person you want me to marry. Either you reveal the person to me in a dream or bring the person to the school." It was like Gideon type of prayer. I put the fleece before the Lord. And the Bible school was so upon at that time. You could just imagine, very, very remote. And so how do you expect a woman to come here? So I had no idea, honestly speaking. And so this is how it happened. And the first 2 days or so, registrations went on, people started coming, the lay workers started coming for their training and so on. And my wife, the lady, was the one who was actually doing the registration and taking care of the students, those who were coming in to enroll for the program, and also taking care of the library. So just a casual conversation started and so on. Then I realized that we were getting closer. And when we were getting closer, I had no idea that it was then. One day, just after a few days, I was with my friend in the room when she came to bring him food. And I said, "Oh, excuse me, I am fast, I'm praying." So he said, "Okay," looked at my face and said, "Okay, then I want you to pray with me." And that's what she said. So I pondered over it later on. What does that imply? Okay. And then the next day, I think after 2 days or so, it was that towards the weekend. And on a Sunday morning, I was actually polishing my shoe. And then she brought her shoes also and said, "Can you clean it for me?" And I said, "Yes, why not?" And I cleaned her shoe for her. She took it. Then we walked to church. I was going to preach at Abanzi that Sunday morning. Before I realized, she was accompanying me. We were going to church together, and I preached. When I finished preaching, I said, the students were around and they said, "Oh, this is the Abanzi fort. The Abanzi fort where they kept the slaves the olden days."
Yeah.
So we said we're going to visit and have an excursion. And so before I realized, the two of us were taking pictures, and I still have the pictures. So the pictures that we took, we were taking pictures together, the two of us. So we went back to the Bible, we went back to school, and then we ate lunch from the same plate together. And then my friend was looking at us. "ANANE." So later he came to my room and said, "ANANE, how about Norcodo? What is going on?" I said, "Well, nothing." He said, So are you blind? And then when he said that, then that was when I became aware of something unusual that I was doing. I came to myself like, oh, okay, yes. And I did not mention that I had to break my fast because in it, I forgot that I was even fasting. I had to break my fast a little bit. So then there was this intense conviction that I had, just to let her know that I felt led that the Lord wanted me to propose to her. I didn't say God spoke to me. I said I felt led my conviction. That's how I put it, because it was very common for people to say, the Lord says I must marry you. I wouldn't do that. I said I felt led in my conviction to tell you that I am interested. I'm drawn to you, and I want to consider and pray about it if you feel the same way. And that was on the Monday morning. Because that night I wrestled in my bed. I couldn't sleep. So that Monday morning, when I waited for the students to get to their classroom to start their class and their lessons, and I went to the library where she was seated alone. And so we greeted. And so I stayed for a while, looked at her, because I wanted to make sure that the atmosphere was conducive. And I wanted to make sure that nobody was around. I realized that she was alone. And so I said, I want to tell you something. She said, okay, please sit down. Are you not sitting? I said, because I was standing. I was nervous. So why not sit down? And I sat down and I said, I've been praying about it since you came and I met you here. And I have the conviction that the Lord wants me to propose to you, and for you to consider if you want to pray and see what the Lord tells you also, and consider me as your future husband. And I said that, she smiled, she laughed, and I had a relief in my spirit. And she said, okay, well, I'll pray about it. And so I went back to my room and I started packing very, very hurriedly. I packed my things into my bag and I came back to the library and said, I'm going back to Takoradi. So, oh, why? I said, I'm going back. In my heart, I wanted to tell her that my mission is accomplished. And then she said, wait for me. And then she went to her room and also brought a picture to me and said, carry this picture of mine with you. And I took that picture with me. That was a sign to me that my proposal was positive. But she didn't say yes or no. She said she would pray about it. And that is how it started. So while I sat in the car, I was brooding over the whole thing. And then for quite some time, I was restless because I didn't know whether the whole thing would bounce back to me, until I received a letter from her, from someone who was come to Takoradi to me, asking if I could visit her in Accra after the program was over. And that was 3 weeks after. And I visited. When I visited, she took me to her friends, took me to so many places just for me, just for people to endorse me. Her pastor, she mentioned it to her pastor. She also took me to some very close friends of hers. And thank God, she later confessed to me that everyone who saw me endorsed my proposal and said, oh, this man, I know him. Oh, this man, I've heard of him. This man, I've made an investigation and found out he's a gentleman. Well, I don't want to brag over this, but I thank God that the Lord's hand in it was in it, and then it was smooth. That is how it happened.
These G's is super, super, super. Wow, mommy, you made it so simple for daddy, but daddy was even panicking, and then a month would go more than a year to daddy because he didn't know whether it was going to bounce back at him or not. Oh my goodness, God!
But you know one thing. Later on, after everything was done, we were married, and so she said, as soon as they drove into the school, and then the pastor's wife told her there is all the rooms are empty except one pastor from Takoradi who is actually waiting upon the Lord. She said it just dawned on her that this person may be praying for a life partner. That's what she said too. It dawned on her that this person may be praying for a life partner, but she had not even seen me yet.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So God had already given the information ahead of time. So it was in the purpose and plans of God. Viewers, we are really enjoying the G's, the pros and cons from our daddy. And today we've got to know that it is not always that we have to say God says. When you hear everything in your spirit, just know that it is your conviction, not that maybe it is direct. Sometimes we are being attracted by certain things, and when we don't take care, the Holy Spirit speaks and we want to do it our way. But Daddy said he did not go straight away, although he was very much convinced, but he didn't say to Mommy that God says. He was very careful, and then he said that he is convinced and he believes he's been led by the Spirit to come and tell her that she is the future husband. How are you also going about? Are you telling them that, oh, you are the apple of my eye? God has revealed to me and I saw you in my dreams, giving me flowers and all those things. Please, let's stop those things and then let's allow the other openings. Some people even say that as long as I have seen it, it is called. If you don't believe me and you don't accept me, that means the devil has deceived you. Putting pressures, especially when they are pastors and the church members, they feel like I can't neglect you, but they enter into the marriage and it becomes hell for them because that was not the right place for them. So, viewers, let's take our daddy's advice and then let's follow daddy. I know daddy has more G's, but he's just trying to hide a little bit. But daddy, let me ask this question. You told us all that although you were having other female friends who were also giving you gifts which you received, didn't any of them give you any sign for you to know that, or come to tell you I had a dream that you were marrying me or doing me wedding or giving me flowers and everything?
I wish I could say this offline, but I must answer the question in a very tactical and wise way in order not to offend anybody. But I'm being honest with you. I'm being honest with you without bragging that I had some female friends who later on were disappointed with me because they were interested. And also, I had also received, I would say, should I say proposals? Some were bold enough to tell me that the Lord has spoken to them that I was their life partner. And anybody that is listening and who found herself to be a kind of person like this, please, I do not intend to offend you. And I am saying this because it's a reality. It is truth. And I don't hide that. I'm saying this for the sake of those who want to study and who want to take lessons out of this experience. Yes, I have some female friends, but I was also very, very wise and careful to let them know that I follow God's direction and without any intention of offending them, and that they weren't beautiful, they were not nice. After all, I was one person and had to get married to one person. And so, by the grace of God, we maintained some peace. I maintained peace with all these women that expected me to propose to them, and I didn't. But we maintained a very solid peace. As a pastor, I needed to embrace them and also pray for them that the Lord will give them their suitors. And thank God, they also had They are
Wow.
seated. They also got married.
Wow.
And yes, they also got married. And there is one person who actually was so even close to us that she never got offended because I didn't marry her, but she was very close to my wife also. And so that is the wisdom the Lord gave me and the grace the Lord gave me to maintain that solid relationship without driving people away from me.
Wow. Wow. So we need wisdom. Bible says in all our getting to get wisdom and understanding. So if we are able to move with the wisdom of God, it will crown you. It will crown you with great grace and life. So we'll go back to Daddy. When Daddy started speaking, Daddy, you were saying that you had to go for a Bible course. But when you went in, because they were all Francophone people, you went, they asked you to come back in September. And so we wanted to know, now Mommy has accepted proposal. Did you go back to the Bible school before coming to marry Mommy, or you got married before going back to the Bible school?
Yeah, so Mommy knew my intentions. I want to say this to her honor, and also to appreciate her. And she was ready to sacrifice. She lived in Accra, and I was at Accra. And so as soon as I proposed, that was in January, towards the end of January. And then we started our in those days we call it courtship, not just dating, courtship. We started our courtship. We felt there was no need to delay. And I declared my intentions to her. And one thing that she said to me was, I have always prayed for a godly person, and a person who is visionary and who is also aiming higher and advancing in life. And if the Lord has opened the door for you to go to school, I won't hinder you. But if we have to get married, we can proceed with the plan of getting married. And so we had to put all this together, marrying, and at the same time also going to school. How will we actually manage this as a couple? So we prayed about it, and there was nothing that was hindering us. And so in May, we agreed and we had our engagement, a traditional marriage. It wasn't like, excuse me, say nowadays when we talk about engagements, like you and between you and a woman, you nail down and put a ring on their finger and say, will you marry me? Not that type of engagement. I'm talking about a traditional marriage. That was in May. And in June, we got married. We had our wedding. It was very, very fast. And based upon her agreement, I had to leave her. She had to leave Accra, settle with me at Accra for just 3 months. And I went to school in September.
Wow.
I went to school in September, just after 3 months of marriage. But the good thing, the school was in Togo, and I was actually going home on weekends and so. But it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. And I must also say that I was ignorant. Somehow, I did not know much about family planning. And I sound stupid to say this, but no, I had no idea of what it was actually to. Maybe I had an idea, but I didn't plan my family. And so just within the first year, my wife was pregnant, and now with a child. And that first year of marriage was very tough, very tough. And then she was new also in the local church. She left her friends in Accra to join me to make new friends, and then also to be part of the new family, the church congregation, the church family, our congregation. And it was rough. It was rough, but she endured. She endured all. And that also plunged us into some other learning experiences, the crisis that we went through. And so maybe I talked about that in our last video, the rejection that I faced in ministry. It also occurred at the time when we got married. We also had our share of rejection in a local church in my first year, in my second year in Togo, while I was schooling. Many things happened, but one good thing about my wife is she had that enduring heart. She had that zeal and commitment. She wasn't in to marry me because she was actually focusing on achieving material gains, but it was for ministry. And ministry actually called for sacrifice, and she understood it. And so that is how it went for us at the initial stages. But we went through the rest of the years, and we have actually come far by the grace of God.
Daddy and Mommy has come far by the grace of God. So, Daddy, you were talking about rejections, and then normally on my Jericho encounter, we want to hear the difficult aspect of life and how God brought us out of it. So, we want to know, in this 31 years of marriage, what are your encounters, or difficult encounters in life?
Yeah, 35, almost 35, yeah, 34 plus. So it'll be 35 in June. As I said, the rejection that we experienced came in different forms. The first one has to do with an unexpected decision even to withdraw my salary from the local church. It was all orchestrated by some human factors. And anybody that is listening to me who is part of that local church will bear witness with me. It was my salary was withdrawn. My salary was withdrawn. For no apparent reason, my salary was withdrawn. And then number two, I could not pay the rent for the I would say the apartment, the flat that we're living in. And for that reason, the landlord took the house from us, and we're stranded. My wife and my son had to be living with people. We packed our things into someone's garage. Yes. There were times when my wife and my son didn't have anything to eat. One day I came from school and I saw them eating very hot pepper and just gari without even fish or anything to go with. There were rejections, but thank God that there were also loving people that came through to help. And she went through that training experience. For me, it was like subjecting her to suffering. Because when we got married, at the time that we got married, she was receiving 11 cedis as her pay. And my pay was 3 cedis, 50 pesos. No, 5 cedis, 50 pesos, sorry. My pay was 5 cedis, 50 pesos at the time in 1989. So her salary was twice mine. And then she decided to sacrifice that and then join the husband at Sakradi. And I decided to go to school. People would look at me and think, why did you do that? Why did you take that decision? Why did you not even cancel your plan of going to school? Why did you do that? And so a lot of questions were pouring me. And it was like I had taken an unwise decision. But my wife encouraged me to keep on. Keep on. There is no situation that is permanent. She kept on encouraging me. She would rather encourage me. And the good thing is that she had also gone through life crisis before. And so she was used to the kind of struggles and conditions that she found herself in. And so she considered that to be a training moment for her. And so that is how it went. And I remember she would stay with a friend, a family friend, for quite a some time and then move on to live with somebody else, with my son. And they were moving from one place to the other while our things were parked in the garage during my school time. That's how it went. And so when I graduated from WAST and I was actually returning to going back to Ghana, I had no idea. I didn't know where I was going. And I graduated on a Saturday, and then I left. That was in 1992. And so when I got to Accra, I decided to stay for the weekend, and I went to the district office to say hi to the district superintendent and report also to him that I had now graduated from WAST. They said, yes. You have come at the right time. I needed you. So you have come at the right time. I thought I was in trouble. And he said, the principal of the Bible college has come to me to tell me that he would want you to come and teach in the Bible college.
Wow.
And so I got my appointment waiting for me to teach in the Bible college even before I graduated from WAST. And so he said, so what do you think? And I stood quietly and looked at him and said, so how soon? He said, and that was in December. He said, in January, you have to report. And I said, I need to talk to my wife for us to pray. But I said, what? The Bible school is a ground for training. And so how much time do you have to pray about this decision? So I said, yes, I will, because you are the man in authority and have to submit to my leadership. And so if you as a superintendent, I'm talking about Reverend Dr. Harry Sedu. He was the district superintendent of the Coastal District at the time. So I went back to the house, and so we had to go back to Takoradi. My wife and my son, we had to leave Accra and go to Takoradi. So while we were in the bus, we got to stop, and I told my wife, look, this is the Bible college. Do you want to? I want you to look at the Bible college very carefully. And then she said, it was in the bus that I said, the Bible school here, and that is how I put it in tree. So when we got home, she said, why did you ask me to look at the Bible college very carefully? And I said, I smiled, I said, are you going to the Bible college? And I smiled, I said, have you been told you are going to teach in the Bible college? And I said, yes. She said, may the Lord's will be done. Wherever you go, I will follow. And so we did not hesitate to park and then move to the Bible college. That was in 1993 in January. So that is how my career as a teacher in the Bible college started.
Wow. Wow, this is very, 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 very touching. I've got goosebumps. Mommy, Aiko, you've done a great job by encouraging. Whilst Daddy was speaking, this Bible verse came to my head. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse number 10. It said that, but the God of all grace, whom had called us into his eternal glory by Jesus Christ, that after that ye have suffered a while, make you perfect, establish, strengthen, and settle him. To him be glory and dominion forever and ever. And we will shout amen to that, because indeed, after all the suffering, God puts a smile on the face of our father and the smile on the face of our mother. So Daddy, before we will end this segment, I will ask this question, that when you entered into the Bible school to teach, or the college to teach, how was life over there?
Life was smooth. I didn't know the capacity that I had. And let me say this, that the trials that I've gone through in life, from childhood, I have shared a lot about my childhood experiences, the struggles I went through, and also in ministry as a pastor, and subsequently as training to become who the Lord wanted me to be. When I landed in the Bible college, I saw that I was grown enough. I had grown in my struggles. I had grown in my, should I say struggle, the challenges, all the things I have grown. I had grown, and I didn't know that the Lord was actually using those experiences and challenges to prepare me for ministry. So even though I was young and putting all the 3 Bible colleges in Ghana together for the Assemblies of God, looking at all the teachers, I was the youngest among all the teachers in the 3 Bible colleges. But whenever I had a chance to teach any class that I taught and enriched my classes, my lessons with practical experience from the field and from life. And it is only the students who can tell how much. Up to date, some students that I taught who are now grown pastors, they even remind me of some of the things that I said that I've forgotten that I said them. There is one particular student who would sit down and listen to me very, very intently. The student will always look, and for 3 years, I knew the student came from the Takoradi area. And then when he graduated from the college, and while he was in school, he was always inviting me, why not visit my church? Can you come and visit? Can you come and visit? So I did not pay attention until he graduated. And then he continued to ask me to visit him in his local church in the central region, the town in the central region, a small town. So my wife and I paid a visit. And after preaching, he said, this man, I want to say today, this man saved my life. He said, one day I had a chance to preach to the Christian Youth Bible Study and Prayer Group at an all-night meeting. While I preached, this man said he was at the verge of even committing suicide. Life was taunting him. He was almost giving up, and someone invited him to go to the prayer meeting. That was an all-night prayer meeting. He said, I was the one who preached, and I narrated my life story. I used my life story to encourage all of them. And that night was a special night when many people wept. But he said, that was when I surrendered my life to Christ, and I've lived consistently as a Christian. So later on, when I had a call to come to the Bible college, and I came and I found you, I decided to honor you one day. And so he announced to his congregation that this is the person that preached and saved my life. Otherwise, I would have committed suicide. In fact, honestly, I was speechless. And I did not know I had made a significant impact upon a person's life like this. And I've actually had testimonies that have come to me of people who felt that their lives were touched. It's all because I had grown enough to be able to also grow some people. That is the virtue that I have grown. That is the virtue that I have actually developed for my life. I have grown out of my trying moments, trials and so on. And as a result of that, I'm able also to grow other people. And so the growing aspect of my ministry, I come to the class, I will go to the classroom with a pastoral hat. But so I always developed a philosophy that I always had a philosophy that I was a called pastor and a trained teacher. And I combined the two. A called pastor and a trained teacher. And so among the ministry gifts, I combined the two. And that is how it has stuck with me. The combination of the two has stuck with me all these years of ministry. When I'm teaching in a classroom, I'm doing that with a pastoral heart, believing that people are sitting there who need to be informed and who need to be encouraged and need to be developed and equipped for ministry. So I will say that from the very onset, this is how it went. And I've seen this over the years up to this present time that I'm talking to you.
Wow. God bless you, Daddy. Daddy, let me ask this, and I go about 2 questions so when we run up. When you read 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse number 7, Paul made a statement and he said, I wish that all men were as I am, but each man has his own gift from God. One has this gift, another has that. Now, to the unmarried and the widows, I say, it is good for them to stay unmarried as I am. But if they cannot control themselves, they should marry. For it is better to marry than to burn with passion. So looking at this most challenging Christian encounters in marriage, I want us to deal with these 2 questions. The first one is that why has it become so evident in churches to disrespect and look down on persons just because they are of age and yet not married?
I want to answer the question by saying that Paul was saying this in the context of a situation, and it was during the time of struggles and sufferings and persecutions and so on. So Paul was saying, because of the present condition, and then when he said that, he said, I say this as a man, not because I've heard from the Lord, I'm saying this. He was actually giving words of wisdom to advise. Now, if I apply this to our present situation, I wasn't actually a gifted bachelor. And for that matter, I'm Enoch, to say that I didn't feel the passion. For the 4 years that I told you that I graduated from the college and I wasn't actually married, doesn't mean that I wasn't actually desiring. I desired. It's just that I kept my passion under control. At the point that I married. Now, if anybody is not married, let us not look down upon the person. Perhaps the person is going through some challenges, or the person is having some condition, or the person, for some reason, has many things to take care of. And if the person has not made any deliberate intention for staying single, let us leave the person alone. And let us not see the person as an unreasonable, or maybe how will I put it? Let us not undermine the person's integrity for being who she is or who he is. It is God. It is God who ordained marriage, and then he gives us our partners at our own time. If for some reason the person is delaying, it's either the person has been so much hurt in past relationship, or the person is disappointed, the person is careful. And so if the person is in this condition and it's not actually, let us not intrude into the person's privacy, the person's personal walk with the Lord, and let us not also put unwanted pressure on the person because the person is not married, and even undermine the person because he or she is not married. Let's leave the person alone. Be rather encouraging. We need to be encouraging enough, and also pray for the person, because God in his own appointed time will make a difference by bringing the person's spouse in a way. But I know one pastor, even that's true, one male pastor who was so much pressure to marry, but later on he came out and said, I'm not marrying. And I think he had special reason for not marrying. And then the leadership decided to allow him to stay single, and he was ordained. And then he stayed very, very true to the Lord, and then also continued his ministry until the Lord called him. There's another lady pastor who wasn't, she because of some past experiences, she decided to stay single. And the Lord blessed her ministry so much until she passed on recently.
Wow.
So we need to respect the married and unmarried are equally God's children. And if for some reason the person is not getting married, let us not intrude into the person's affairs and even compound the situation or the pressure on the person to make maybe hasty decisions in any way. So that is my candid advice. My wife just walked in. Evelyn, welcome.
I mean, you are super welcome. Welcome back home.
Thank you.
Do you want to come and say good? I just gossiped about you.
We want to see. We want to see the beauty.
Come on. I gossiped about you.
So special, you know. Viewers, very soon, Mommy will be coming on my Jericho encounter.
Yes. So that's my sweet wife. That's my sweet wife of 35
Daddy
years.
want to tease us with the beauty of Mommy. Oh, you see, I told you, Mommy looks like 14. Ever since I saw her, always getting younger. Mommy, you are
How are you? How are you?
We are doing great, Mommy. We are doing great. Viewers, we are so much sorry we couldn't read all your comments, and then because we wanted to have more G's from Daddy, because Daddy had a lot to teach us today. And so before Daddy, I wanted to talk about respect, but I think in your closing remark, you gave us that we need to respect people's views and choices that they make. If really it's coming from God, we need to support them and also pray with them that we respect their choice. Because it was a second question I was coming to ask, that will the church ever respect the choices of individuals to stay single? But I think we have answered. But as our father, I want to ask this question. We know that in Assemblies of God, before you be ordained, your spouse will be asked whether they accept or they don't accept. Let's take it that a man has gone to Bible school during his marriage, or a woman has gone to Bible school while he or she was married. And then after Bible school, the woman, the wife or the man decides to divorce, or there comes a separation or divorce. And it's time for them to be ordained. Will Assemblies of God ordain such a pastor whose wife has divorced or whose husband has divorced him?
Thank you. That is a very intricate question. But there are certain times when the unfortunate and unexpected happens. And that case can be treated as a unique case, depending upon how the leadership will see it. And they use their discretion to make a sound judgment. However, I think right from the onset of a person's call, there must be a mutual agreement between the person and his or her spouse. And I want to dwell on Paul's words to the young Timothy when he said that if a person desires to have the office of a bishop, that person indeed desires a very noble and prudent thing. However, the person must be the husband of one and able to manage his own house well. And so personal management is very important, and also managing the house. The management aspect of ministry begins right from the house, with the husband and the wife coming into agreement. You decide to go into ministry. How is your wife thinking about it? I cannot say that my wife is not in agreement for me to go into the Bible college and I must force myself. Whether you like it or not, I will go. It's a call of God. But then the two of you are making life together. Pray about it. Pray about it and allow the Holy Spirit and God to confirm, to give that your spouse a conviction, to agree that she is in line with you. She is in agreement with you that you go into ministry. So it doesn't happen in the future when you go to the Bible college and then you want to get ordained, or you enter ministry and you get ordained, and your wife is saying no to it. How did the wife respond to it in the beginning? How did your husband respond to it in the beginning? So this is where one has to do his or her homework very well. Now, in case the person enters ministry and the wife decides to leave the person, and you tried counselors, the leadership has got around it and to help bring the wife back, or bring even the wife's husband back, and the wife is bent on going, or your spouse is bent on going, it is up to you. It's up to you to follow your conviction and do what the Lord wants you to do. And I can cite an example of a pastor. This man, his wife left him. And for a whole decade, the pastor's wife left him. And he stayed single, praying and trusting that God will bring the wife back. When the wife left, the wife went into another relationship. And after 10 years, the wife has come back to him.
From the other marriage back to the husband?
Yes, back to the husband. This is a case, and I respect that man so much for his persistency and resilience and endurance. It is one out of maybe a lot who can actually endure that. So why didn't he haste? Does it mean that he didn't have the feelings to go into another relationship when the wife left? And if he had, would he continue to stay in ministry? The Assemblies of God has rules and constitution and bylaws that guide us. The leadership may say, okay, your wife is gone. What do you do? Will you want to continue to stay? You have not committed any wrong. It's your wife who has left. The leadership may say, then you don't have to marry again because your wife is still alive. Or it happened to another pastor whose wife left. The leadership called the pastor's wife, who had gone already long ago. That was even when he was in the Bible college. And the wife left and said, I'm not going. I'm not marrying you. And they had 2 children. She left the 2 children, abandoned the 2 children on the man, and then went and married another man. And this pastor decided he wanted the wife back. They did their best. And delegations upon delegations were sent to the woman. They said, I'm not coming back. When they realized that the woman had gone very, very far in marrying somebody and settling down with the person, the leadership decided to use their discretion and say, okay, go ahead and marry. And then he married. So the point I'm making here is that that's why we have spiritual leadership. We have authorities who are guided. They look into the matter. And if it is even intricate, you cannot handle it yourself. Just allow the leadership to help you take an informed decision as to what you want to do. And of course, the personal conviction also lies with you. Are you going to continue to endure and say, no, I'm going to stay, and that my wife will come back? It happened also to an old man, the person who wrote the New Convert Class book. That old man in Kumasi, many years ago. His wife left him. And then he stayed. After many years, the wife came back. And so I would say this is a very, very subjective question. And someone would say, because it hasn't happened to you, that's why you are saying what you are saying. But I'm speaking wisdom from the Lord. I'm speaking wisdom. And then using a few experiences and examples, I want to say that it depends upon individual choice. But then when there's a hasty decision involved, that is when there's a shipwreck. You can shipwreck your ministry if you take a hasty decision under that circumstance.
Thank you so much. Viewers, we are live on Facebook and live also on YouTube, but we apologize that we couldn't read any of your messages today, and we've seen all the messages here. We give you thumbs up for all of you on YouTube and all of you watching us also on Facebook as well. Please continue to share to all your Instagram, TikTok, and even on Facebook and then YouTube, on your WhatsApp statuses, to bless somebody who is also in a dilemma, because that is worse. It will save someone from his or her dilemma, to know that the encounters in life is not for only one person. He is not alone, because God is with them. In this year of power, God is with us, and he's going to empower us to be able to endure all the things, and he will make a way for us where there seems to be no way. So we apologize for not being able to read your comments, but we really appreciate every comment that you have sent to us. So we go back to Daddy. Daddy, in few words, How will you advise our youth and all our ladies and gentlemen through your experiences in this 35 years, those who are now coming into marriage, who are trusting God for their life partners, and also those of us who are already also in marriage, one way or the other, facing little difficulties? We want to know a few words of advice from you. So we'll start from the upcoming ones.
Thank you. Can you bring me my phone? There is a message that I want to read out to us. My wife shared something with me, and I want to read it out to you. Okay. What I want to say is that we're living in a time when people are making hasty decisions. It looks like anything that is suitable for, whether it is biblically approved and sound or not, just go and just do what you think is good and is best for you. But that doesn't help him. All that I want to say is that we need to be patient. Let us try to inculcate the godly values. I'm talking about us pastors, that godly values into our youth. Encourage them to know what is patience and what they can do in order to endure the challenging moments and situations in our time, in order to stay true to the Lord until the Lord has his own way in our lives. And with the young people, some of the things that I'm saying, you may think they are archaic and old-fashioned for you to wait. You may think they are old-fashioned. Okay, but I want to tell you that biblical truths endure all times. There are no two ways around the truth of God's word. Just recently, just a few days ago, my wife shared something with me that I think is very appropriate for me to read out. And especially to the young people. This is it. There is so much truth in it. It said, wrong is wrong, even if everyone is doing it. Someone said, well, this is the way people are doing it. Even worship, the musicians and worship leaders are befriending each other and they are going their own way. Does it mean that you have to also do it? Wrong is wrong, even if everyone is doing it. On the contrary, right is right, even if no one is doing it.
Yeah.
And I like this. There is so much wisdom in this. Let us stick to the right thing. Follow godly values and principles and inculcate them into our daily lives and seek God and allow God to honor us, because God, is still the same. He has never changed. In whatever he has said in his word concerning us is absolute. And so that is my candid advice to all those who are listening to me, the younger people. And as I said, I am, by the grace of God, still learning. I haven't arrived yet, but I'm still learning day by day. And the Lord is unveiling things to me and helping me to grow more and more in him. So that's my word of advice to you, the younger people.
So much, Daddy. We really, really appreciate your time, your dedication, and your teachings today. I've learned a lot. And viewers, I know you also listening to us, you have also learned a lot. But if you did not take any key words out of what Daddy said, one Daddy started, he said he had focus. He focused on what the mission that was ahead of him and persevered because he wanted something and he wanted to receive a prize. Yes, Paul says that if we, even an athlete, will run for a prize that can be thrown out, how much more we that are running for eternal glory. So we need to focus. Daddy also spoke about the virtues of the fruit of the Spirit, and he mentioned what? Patience after we have suffered a while, as Paul said to Timothy, after we have suffered a while. So if you are going through any difficulties in life, know that, be patient. Check the ebeche, but there is time for everything under this sun. Even this Driakra with that so the tree has hope that after it has been cut down, it will really germinate again. And it's evident all around us that few weeks ago, all the trees were dried up. But immediately we entered into this spring, look at the greens that are coming out. These are the handiworks of God, and it is so marvelous in our sight. Thank you very, very much, Daddy, Reverend Andrew ANANE ASANE. We are so grateful for your time, your support, and everything. I know I've worried you for all these weeks, but you had patience with me, and then you've been able to endure all my worry and my troublesome calls and text messages for these 3 good weeks, and you have really blessed us. Viewers, I'm super blessed. So blessed. Thank you, Daddy. Thank you so much. Upper room on behalf of Daddy, Pastor Mark, your son, and Mama Comfort, your in-law, and all the entire church board, the pastoral board, the church upper room, situated in 1074 Franklin Avenue. We say, I call to you, and we say, God bless you so much. We will not wait for your dismiss before we honor you. That is why we wanted to take much from you, and then we have really been filled. And I know viewers, you are also not had enough from our Daddy. Anytime you think you want more, just give it on the comments. We will go back. Whatever question that I couldn't ask Daddy, if you know the DM us, either page me on Messenger or even on the comment section, we go back to visit and we read all the comments, we go through them. We will bring Daddy back, by force, by tender. We will bring Daddy back to come answer your questions that we couldn't read, the comments that we couldn't read, and by means you have any question, we will definitely now call Daddy, and Daddy will superly handle us. As he said he's a servant of servants. He's still learning, studying to show himself approved unto God, not unto any man. So humility, is one thing that he also says he is learning. He says, I don't want to call myself humble, else I'll be proud of myself. Yes. So, Daddy, thank you. And
God bless you.
God bless you too. Viewers, draw the curtains, and this how far God has brought us. God willing, next week we are coming your way with another great man of God who is also ready to share life experiences and encounters with us. So with that, we say bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Daddy.
Thank you.
Never near a dear yo.